Hey guys, welcome to week 5 of the MedFitness at home workout. We've got a full body workout today that's going to emphasize your lower body. So I'm going to jump right in. Before I do that, a couple tools that you'll need for today's workout would be just a normal belt. I just pulled this out of my closet this morning, so you're going to need a belt and a full-size bath towel or beach towel. We're going to use these with some of our lower body exercises. So if you have those two things, you should be good to go. I'm going to jump right in on exercise number 1, which is going to be a 1-minute plank. We're going to use that as a pre-exhaust technique and then go right into an abdominal crunch on the floor. So let me show you how that looks. You've got a couple options in terms of what position you can hold that plank in. You could do a upright position, which would be arms straight, up on your toes, head neutral, and then holding this for just 1 minute. Or you can go down on the elbows and hold it in this position for 1 minute. Remember, you want your torso to be level. I don't want my hips sagging like this. I don't want my head dropping down like that, so I want to keep my head neutral. But our goal here is to hold either of those postures for 1 minute, not as a way of overloading the abdominal wall, but as a way of building some fatigue in that target muscle. And then we transition quickly into our abdominal crunch, which is going to be knees up. Again, grabbing your shoulders just like you would on the MedX abdominal crunch here in the studio. Head neutral. I'm rotating forward, doing what we call trunk flexion, and I'm essentially lifting my shoulder blades off the ground. Right about here is my top. It's a very short range. I'm holding for 1 to 2 seconds in the top and then stretching back until my head lightly touches. I don't want to stop and rest. Come right into that next repetition. Same thing, lift the shoulder blades off, hold it right about here for 1 second, and then come back down, keeping my head neutral as I do that. What I want to avoid is that neck flexion, which is common where people do this. This is very hard on your neck, so keep that neck neutral as you're doing the exercise. Our goal here is to try to get 10 repetitions like that. Now remember, if you can't do 10, I want you to take a short rest a few seconds, 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then continue working towards 10 total repetitions on that exercise. So we start with a 1-minute plank up or down, and then we go right into the abdominal crunch. 10 repetitions on the abdominal crunch. If you can't get 10, take a short break. Continue until you accumulate a total of 10 repetitions for those abdominal muscles. So that's exercise 1 and 2. Then we're going to use what we did last week, which is the pullover. This is going to work your upper back and shoulders, and this replicates what happens on the pull down exercise on the beeline. So on this one, you may recall, you can do it sitting or on the ground, but it's easier sitting. So just on a chair, leaning forward, elbows out in front, hands open. I want you to put your elbows on your knees. And what we're trying to do, this is that technique we call a time static contraction, where we're not moving, but we're working the muscles. So I'm trying to do this motion, which gets those big upper back muscles, but I'm not moving. So I'm pushing into my knees here, and the first 30 seconds I want you to push with about half of your strength. The last 30 seconds we're going to push with all of our strength. So we're doing 1 minute of a timed static contraction. The muscles aren't lengthening or shortening, they're staying at the same position. So I'm just driving into my knees like this. And if you're doing it appropriately, you should feel the muscles of your upper back contracting. And again, as you do these static contractions, I want to make sure you're breathing and you're not holding your breath. But these, as you may recall, can be very fatiguing and very productive for building strength in any muscle that we do that exercise with, much less this pullover. So this is for your back and shoulders. And that's exercise number 3, 1 minute. 30 seconds medium strength, 30 seconds full strength to fatigue those muscles. Then we're going to go right into the legs and do a wall sit or a squat. Let's demonstrate what that wall sit looks like. We've done that a couple times. This is basically replicating the muscles we use on the leg press. So here I want that shoulder width stance, leaning back against the wall, feet out in front of me. I want to basically squat down until I have a comfortable position between the lower leg and the upper leg. Now I'm at a 90-degree angle. This is as low as I would go. This is a pretty aggressive posture. From here I'm going to try to hold this for 1 minute. Now I can already feel my legs fatiguing in just a few seconds, but if you can't hold this position, if this is too difficult, which it will be too hard for some people, lift your hips up a few degrees, get into a position that challenges you, but is doable. So I can hold this, still work those muscles, and not have to be as deep as I was initially. So you get to judge based on your strength level how far down you slide, but no matter how strong or weak someone is, they can do this exercise. If you just lean back against the wall and do it this way, anyone can do this. And so even just a few degrees of squatting down can get some stimulus to those hip and leg muscles. So go to the angle that works for you based on your strength level. 1 minute hold in that. And then the alternative to that would be the standing squat. We did this last week. So you could do both of these exercises or choose between the two of them. The standing squat, as you may recall, we're going to ask you to have a chair or a seat or something to touch in your bound position. I'm going to take a shoulder width stance. I start with my knees a little bit bent. I don't want to be locked out, so just a slight bend in the knees, hands out in front, head neutral, and I'm just taking about 5 seconds to go down to my touch, all the way down to a soft touch, and then up halfway, right about here, and then right back down. Touch again, and then go all the way to the top. That is 1 repetition. So we're going to go for 10 repetitions on the standing squat if you choose to do that exercise. Again, if you want to push yourself, I would do both of those. I would do the wall sit first and then go into the standing squat to make it more difficult. We call that a pre-exhaust technique. So those are 2 leg exercises. Then we're going to go to a push-up. Now the good news today is that there's a lot of ways we can make that push-up doable depending upon how strong you are. So remember, the most difficult way to do that push-up is, of course, off of your toes. So if I'm up on my toes with that shoulder width position with my hands, this is the hardest way to do a push-up. So I'm recommending a 5 by 5, 5 seconds down, a light touch to the nose, and then back up in about 5 seconds. Again, on this guy, we're going to try to do 15. So if you can't get to 15 straight, that's okay. If you stop at 10, breathe for a few seconds, catch your breath, recover, squeeze out another couple or 5 reps to get to a total of 15 repetitions on this one. Now, some of you will be unable to do a push-up off of your toes. That's okay. You can make it more doable by going off of your knees. So it's the exact same movement, same muscles, just not as difficult. So going down in about 5 seconds, soft touch, and then right back up in 5 seconds, up to that top. Same rule here, going for 15 total repetitions. If you need to take a break, take a break. So that's level number 2. If that is still too difficult, if getting on the ground is too hard and challenging for you, you can do it against a kitchen counter or anything like a kitchen counter. So in this case, I'll use my desk. Here I'm going to do that same movement pattern, lean into the desk, and just stretch towards the desk in about 5 seconds, and then come right back out in 5 seconds. I'm working all those same muscles. I've just got a little less gravity to work against because I'm more upright. So this can be done in the kitchen. You can do it on your desk in the office, whatever surface works for you to keep you safe and upright if getting on the ground is too difficult for you. So those are 3 different ways to do a push-up. Now we're going to transition into a couple of hip exercises. Now everyone's familiar with the hip abduction and adduction on the B line, which are the last two exercises. This will basically mimic those exercises. We're going to use our belt to begin. What I'm going to do with this belt is wrap it around my legs, and I want to buckle it to a position where my legs are pretty much straight out in front of my knees are in front of my hips. I don't want my knees touching together. I don't want them abducted out. So I want my knees in front of my hips, straight line here. And I'm putting the belt at the end of my femur, at the end of my upper leg, which is just above the kneecap. I don't want the belt way up here. I'm going to put it down towards the end of the knee, just above the kneecap. I also want my lower leg to be right below the knee. I don't want my feet angled together or angled out. Let me see if you can see this on the video. I want my tibia to go straight down below to the heel. So straight line from the hips to the knees and then down to the heel. So from this position, we're doing that same 1 minute time static contraction. We're not moving, but we're definitely stimulating and fatiguing those muscles in the hips here. So on this one, you can either do an arm cross posture as you're working or grab the seat. Okay, breathing, head's neutral. What I'm trying to do is I'm moving my legs out. Of course, I'm not moving those. So I'm going to take the first 30 seconds, half of my strength, the last 30 seconds, all of my strength. So if I were to demonstrate that to you, I'm just attempting to move my legs out here. I immediately feel these muscles engaged and working. If I work as half strength for 30 seconds, full strength for a minute, I will definitely feel a deep level of fatigue in those muscles. So that's going to be the next exercise. Now we're going to flip it. We're going to go to hip adduction, which will work the inner thigh. So with this one, I just worked the outer hips and outer thigh. Now I'm going to work the inner thigh. And so this is called hip adduction. Here's where you need your full-size bath towel or beach towel. I want you to roll it into a nice big ball like this. And what we're essentially doing here is putting it at the end of my knees, and I'm attempting to do the opposite motion. I'm squeezing my knees together here, working those adductor muscles. This is what the last exercise on the B line works. So here, same thing. 30 seconds, start to squeeze at half of my strength. You want to feel the fatigue building. You want to feel your heart rate going up a little bit as you're working. And then the last 30 seconds, I'm squeezing as hard as I can. Again, squeeze at a level that you feel comfortable squeezing at on these time static contractions. You don't have to kill yourself, but I can definitely feel those adductor muscles working and fatiguing right now. And then at the end of a minute, I'm done. Now, if I wasn't talking to you and I was just doing the exercise, you would see my heart rate elevate. I would be breathing. So these time static contractions can be very demanding and very productive relative to the effort you put into them. So I want you to push yourself to a level that you feel comfortable training at, whatever that level happens to be, making sure you're always consuming oxygen, keeping your mouth open, breathing during those static holds. Now let's jump over to a couple lower leg exercises. This is a common area that gets missed for people, which is below the knee, the gastrocnemius muscle, your calf, and then the tibialis anterior on the front of your shin. These are really important for balance. They're really important for good circulation and blood flow. So these two guys, as you may recall, we demoed a couple weeks ago. The heel raise, you can do it on the ground, right? On the floor, shoulder width stance. I'm going to take a 5 seconds to go as high as I can, hold for 1 second, and then come back down in 5, touch to the bottom, and then repeat that movement. Here we're going for 10 repetitions. If that's too easy for you, you can go to one leg and make it twice as hard. So same thing, up in 5, hold it for a second, come straight down, soft touch, and repeat, going for 10 reps. If you can't get a full 10, rest for a moment, then continue until you get a full 10 repetitions, whether it's 2 legs or 1 leg. Good for the upper or lower leg muscles. Now the opposite of that is what we would call a toe raise, which is working the shin muscle on the front of your lower leg right here. So here all we're going to do, instead of going up on my heels, I'll go up with my toes and attempt to lift my toes up as high as I can. Now this one we're doing a hold. 1 second hold in this position. Now this is not a huge range of motion, it's a pretty short distance, so don't worry if it feels like you're not moving very far. Go as high as you can and then attempt to basically hold that top position as hard as you can. Squeeze those muscles, contract them, kind of like you're making a bicep or a muscle with your bicep. I'm doing the same thing with that tibialis muscle. Here's a 1 second or 1 minute hold on this movement. Once I've done that, I just bring it down and relax. I can also do that against the wall if that's easier. Just sort of lean in a little bit and then attempt to lift those toes up as high as you can and hold it right there. So that's everything, guys. That's your full body workout, emphasizing your legs. We start with the plank, we go to abdominal crunch, we go into that pullover, time static hold 1 minute. We do a wall sit for 1 minute and or the standing squats to the chair, 10 repetitions on that. Then we go right into the push-ups. We're trying to get 15 reps on the push-ups. Whatever posture works for you, off the toes, off the knees, or against the counter. Choose the one that works best for you. Then we go to the hip abduction with the belt, working the outer hip glute muscles. Then we use our towel to squeeze together for hip adduction and work the inner adductor thigh muscles. That's the last one on the beeline. Then we go to our heel raises and our toe raises. We've gotten all the major muscles, but with a focus on the lower body. So again, just to summarize a couple key points, guys. I want you to do 1 or 2 cycles of this workout. Some of you might find that you want to bite off a little more and you want to challenge yourself a little more. If you want to do this full cycle twice, that's okay. Doing it once is also okay. You might feel once is sufficient. And if you want to repeat one of those movements a second time and do a second set and work a little deeper, a little harder, that's okay as well. But 1 or 2 cycles, you be the judge as to how hard you push yourself on the exercise. I want you to rest as little as possible between exercises. This is going to be individual. Some of you will be able to move very rapidly from one exercise to the next with almost no rest. That's a great way to really challenge yourself. Others may need to slow it down just a little bit. So if you need to take a 30-second rest between exercises, that's okay as well. Customize the pacing, but in general, our goal with these body weight exercises is to move fairly efficiently so that as the workout progresses, fatigue is building and things are getting more difficult to complete. I want you to do this twice a week, but I will say that once a week, remember, the most current evidence from the American College of Sports Medicine tells us that if you're doing 1 strength workout a week that's sufficiently challenging to your muscles, you can maintain your strength. So we know we're worried about losing strength if we're not doing anything. So 1 workout, even 1 workout, guys, don't downplay the value of a single workout a week, and staying with that routine is still very, very valuable. But I'm recommending 2 if you can get 2 workouts a week with this. You still want to get that post-workout protein of 20 grams. That's going to be important to enhance the training response from your workout. We always recommend that within a couple hours after your strength workout, high-quality protein to enhance the stimulus that we generate in the strength workout itself. You should be keeping a record. Again, if you're not keeping a record, keep working out. If you're not doing it, keep working out. Don't stop working out because you're not recording it, but you should have the workout chart that you can track the workout on as well. And then my recommended viewing this week, my 13-minute seminar from 2019 entitled Sugar Busters. If you have time, watch that. It's a great lecture on how strength training helps us to process blood sugar and keep our blood sugar lower and healthier, helps us to avoid diabetes, and or it helps us to better manage diabetes if we do happen to have high blood sugar. And then lastly, send your questions to me, richard@medfitnessprogram.com. You can send me a question at any time. I've gotten a lot of good questions. I'm happy to respond to those.
But thanks for watching today, guys. Good luck this week with this workout. Have a great week, and I will see you next week.